You know, when we think of war, we think of soldiers, bombs, and battlefields. But this is a story about a completely different kind of war. A war fought in the shadows against a nation's entire economy. And at the heart of it all, the Khanani Brothers. So picture this. It's the early 2000s. There are no armies crossing borders, no fighter jets in the sky. No, this assault was silent. It came through paper and ink, and it was aimed at the very foundation of India's stability. The one thing that holds it all together, it's money. And here's the truly terrifying part. The weapon of choice in this war wasn't some high-tech missile. It was something that millions of people handled every single day. The actual rupees in their wallets, their purses, their cash registers, they were turned into instruments of economic chaos.
So how on earth do you fight a war with just ink? Well, it starts with an operation so massive, so sophisticated, it's honestly breathtaking. The goal wasn't just to make fake money. It was to clone it so perfectly that it became impossible to tell what was real and what wasn't.
Look, we're not talking about a few bad notes getting passed at a corner store. Not at all. We're talking about a tidal wave. Billions of what the intelligence agencies called high-quality fake Indian currency notes. A flood of ghost money systematically pumped into the economy for one reason: to destroy public trust. To pull off something this audacious, you need some serious masterminds. You need people who can operate in broad daylight while building a criminal empire in the dark. So let's meet the men who ran this underground central bank, the Khanani Brothers. So on the surface, Altaf and Javed Khanani were totally legitimate businessmen. They ran Khanani Kalia International, or KKI, which was one of Pakistan's biggest and most respected currency exchange companies. But that was just the cover. Underneath it all, they were allegedly running one of the biggest money laundering operations on the planet, all built on an ancient, untraceable system for moving money. Okay, so the big question, right? How did they actually do it? How did they manage to turn a legitimate business into a pipeline for economic sabotage? The answer lies in how they weaponized a centuries-old system known as Hawala. Alright, so you gotta understand Hawala first. At its core, it's pretty simple. It's a way to send money across borders without actually needing any cash. It all works outside of the banking system. It's just a huge network of agents who basically settle debts among themselves. The whole thing is built on a handshake, a code word, and most importantly, trust. No paper trail. So here's a simple example. Let's say you give cash to a Hawala agent in Dubai. That agent calls up his buddy in Delhi, who then pays out the exact same amount to your friend there. No money actually crossed the border. It's all settled later. But the Khanani network, they added a lethal twist. When that money was paid out in Delhi, a big chunk of it would be made up of their perfect counterfeit, Supernotes. They had turned this trust-based system into the perfect distribution network for fake cash. And believe me, these were not your average photocopies. These so-called supernotes were allegedly printed on the same kind of industrial machines that governments use. They had the right watermarks, the security threads. They were so good, they could sail right through most commercial bank scanners without anyone blinking an eye. They were, for all intents and purposes, perfect clones.
Now you might be thinking this was all just about getting rich, but it goes so much deeper than that. When you flood a country with billions of dollars in fake currency, it's not just a crime. It's an act of economic terrorism designed to hit a nation where it's most vulnerable. The attack came in three ways. First, you get instant inflation. All of a sudden, there are billions of new ghost rupees in the system, which means more money is chasing the same amount of stuff, and that drives prices up for everybody. Second, it starts to devalue the real currency on the world stage. And third, and this is the scariest part, this cash was used to fund the darkest corners of the criminal world: organized crime, arms smugglers, and even terrorist groups behind attacks like the horrific 2008 Mumbai siege. Let's just stop and think about that number for a second. Billions, not millions, billions. An amount so huge it could actually change the economic reality for over 1 billion people. It created this massive phantom economy that was operating completely in the shadows. I mean, think about it this way. They had effectively built their own parallel central bank. A bank that answered to no government, that followed absolutely no rules, and had the power to print endless amounts of money with one single malicious goal: to destabilize an entire country. So how do you even begin to fight a criminal network this huge, this powerful, this global? Well, it couldn't be done by just one country. It was going to take a massive,
coordinated international effort to finally untangle this web and bring down the men at the center of it. And then, in 2015, the walls started closing in. The U.S. Treasury officially designated the Khanani network a significant transnational criminal organization, putting them in the same league as the world's most dangerous drug cartels. Then, that same year, the DEA ran a sting operation in Panama, and boom, they arrested Altaf Khanani. And the charges went way beyond just fake rupees. We're talking about laundering money for groups like the Taliban, Hezbollah, and others. But even with the kingpins caught, the story doesn't just end there. The poison they had pumped into the economy for years left behind a deep, lasting scar.
And it raised some very serious questions that people are still debating today. So yeah, the House of Khanani came crashing down. But what about the billions in fake notes they'd already put out there? They were still in circulation, being passed from hand to hand, from business to business. These shadow rupees were like a ghost in the machine, haunting the Indian economy for years, and it took a long, long time to flush them out. And this leads us to a huge and pretty controversial question. Many experts believe that the sheer scale of this counterfeit crisis was one of the main reasons behind India's shocking 2016 demonetization policy. The move that overnight made 86% of the country's cash worthless and completely upended the lives of everyone in the nation. When you boil it all down, the story of the Khanani Brothers proves a really chilling point. The real target wasn't just the economy, it was trust itself. That basic fundamental belief that the piece of paper in your wallet actually has the value the government says it does. And once you break that trust, the whole system is in danger. It really leaves us with this one final question. At the end of the day, money is just an agreement, right? A shared belief in value. But when a criminal syndicate can copy it so perfectly that you, me, or even a bank can't tell the difference, it forces us to ask a really tough question. What is that money?